You know, the MCU has adapted a lot of characters pretty well. And in my opinion, I think Doctor Strange was done justice when they brought him to the big screen. So join me as we look back on the Doctor Strange movies that we have so far. And if you like watching me talk about superhero movies, then you should definitely subscribe to the channel. Starting off with the first movie from 2016, I really like this movie, and I think it's one of the best films in the MCU. We see the introduction of Doctor Strange into the MCU and his journey to become a sorcerer and to stop Dormammu. And let me start off by saying that Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange was perfect casting. The man completely sells me on Stephen Strange's personality, and I think he gives one of his best performances in this movie. The VFX and CGI in this movie has also aged amazingly. This movie is very beautiful, and I think it's one of the best looking MCU movies in terms of cinematography. I also really love how creative this movie is when showing us the magic within the MCU. I really enjoyed all the weird kaleidoscope stuff they decided to put in this movie, and I love how colorful and vibrant the film can look at times. And even though this movie came out when the Infinity Saga was currently going on, I like how this movie still feels very standalone. Another thing I really liked about this movie was the action. The fight choreography was incredible, and I really love how the movie could just be in New York one minute, these characters having a fist fight, then the next they're in the mirror dimension, now they're in another dimension. It's just crazy stuff that they pull in this movie that I really enjoy when it comes to the action. Another thing this movie excels at was its story. I love how at the beginning of the movie, Strange is an asshole, and throughout the entire film we get to see him overcome this nasty attitude that he has and become a better man for it. I really love this character arc that Strange goes through, and I really can't imagine anyone else playing the character but Benedict Cumberbatch. He does such a good job playing the character, and I really like how he captures Strange's mannerisms. But let me say a few of my negatives on this movie because it isn't perfect. For starters, even though I love Dormammu and I really like what they did with him in this movie, I do not think he has enough of a presence in this film, and he should have been in it way more. He's really only in one scene at the very end, and although the movie tells us about how bad and evil he is, I wish we actually could have got to see some of his presence throughout the film, building him up more as a serious threat. Another thing I wasn't the biggest fan of was the relationship between Christine and Strange. While I do enjoy the scenes we do get with her, and I think she is a good love interest for Strange, I wish we could have got more scenes of Strange and Christine bonding before the tragedy that takes his hands. I feel like if they spent more time fleshing out their relationship, it would have made later scenes in the movie more impactful. But at the end of the day, I still really like this movie, and I think it was a worthy adaptation of Doctor Strange. Now it's time to get into its sequel, Multiverse of Madness. I do like this movie, but I have to admit, it could have been so much better. Starting off with my positives, I still think this is a good Doctor Strange movie. They do a lot of interesting things with his character in this movie, and I really like how they're still treating him as a very important character in the MCU. I'm also really happy Sam Raimi got to direct this movie. I think he brings a lot of life into the film. And just like the first film, it is still visually appealing. The action is very good, and I do enjoy seeing Wanda in an antagonistic role again. But unfortunately for me, this movie has a lot more cons than pros. For starters, for a movie called Multiverse of Madness, we really only spend time in one singular universe while the rest are just quick flashes in a montage. Not only that, but it feels like we could have done so much more with the multiverse concept in this movie. And I'm not really a fan of the universe that we do spend most of the movie in, because I'm not gonna lie to you, the Illuminati are boring characters to me. While yes, I did enjoy seeing Professor X again and Mr. Fantastic, and getting to see Black Bolt was pretty cool, but it comes at the cost of us having to see Captain Industry Plan again, and a new Captain Marvel variant, which nobody asked for. The team of the Illuminati could have been built so much more uniquely, but they decided to just pick very safe picks for it for some reason. And even then, they don't really do much. They just get killed by Wanda, and that's the end of them. It's just kind of a lame cameo, to be honest. Another issue I have with the film is it's not really a standalone movie like the first movie was. You have to watch WandaVision to understand why Wanda is acting this way. And while I do enjoy seeing Scarlet Witch as a villain again, I don't really understand her motivations in this movie. Her whole goal is to bring the kids that never existed back to life that she got so attached to, but it's like, why is she so obsessed with these kids? You think she would be more concerned about getting Vision back, but she barely mentions him at all in the movie. She's more concerned with bringing back her kids that never even existed, and it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I also really wasn't a big fan of America Chavez in this movie. She's kind of just a MacGuffin, and while I don't hate her character or anything, I do think she's kind of bland in one note. She's the typical rebellious teenager going up against Doctor Strange, who's supposed to be the old man. And it's just kind of, I don't know, predictable. Also, the VFX are not nearly as strong in this movie compared to the first. There are definitely a lot of rough spots in this movie, and there's a little bit of bad CGI at points. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, you will notice it. I think what really hurt this movie for me is the messy production. Sam Raimi didn't even start directing until the film was almost finished. I feel like I would have liked this movie a lot more if we spent more time in the multiverse and we could flesh the characters out a little bit more. And if Sam Raimi had complete creative control from the start, I feel like the movie would have been even better. But even with all of those flaws, I still really enjoyed this one. Overall, I think the MCU truly has done Doctor Strange justice, and I really love how important he is to the grander MCU. But those were just my thoughts on both of the Doctor Strange movies, and I'll see you in whatever my next project ends up being.